Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage Services Commission. Got a little bit of feedback. We'll get that worked through. I'm so glad to be up here in Cache Valley. I mentioned earlier when we were doing our meet and greet, this marks the first time that the commission has visited, as a full commission, has visited this area, and we're so glad to be here. We know that we have many licensees in the hospitality industry, a very vibrant hospitality industry here. We also have many important stakeholders and partners in alcohol safety and prevention. So thank you for hosting us here today. It's wonderful to be on Utah State University's campus. And let's go ahead and just jump into our meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe that Erica Evans is going to lead us in it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thank you so much. We kind of threw Erica right into the mix in this agenda. Let's actually get her formally introduced and appointed. The next agenda item is the appointment of DABS division directors, and I'll turn that over to Executive Director Clayson.
Great, thank you, Chair Tip.
Before we say, the action that's needed before the motion separately on Erica Evans as the DABS's new licensing compliance for licensing director, and then Val Barnes as the retail stores division director. Erica has been in the job a little over 2 years, she comes to us with a really great background, not only in education and credentialing, but in experience. She has her bachelor's from college in the city. She received a law degree from the Yale School of Law at Chapman University in California. Most recently, before coming to us, she worked for the Office of Legislative Research and General Counsel as the managing associate. She worked in the code that governs all things alcohol, which we commonly refer to as TV. But she also worked in sections of code drafter and working with legislators and others on policy issues in substance abuse programs, criminal justice, business institutes, the Department of Commerce, and looking into them. So I'm really excited about the experience that she brings, the skill set and knowledge that she brings, and will bring all of the changes and visions and things that we're moving forward with at the department. We really in direct support of you all and work that you do with this mission. You know, this role is vital, it's really critical for you all to continue to do. So we're really excited to have her on board. So glad that she accepted the role in the position, and we would ask for you to consider potentially approving the
Thank you. Val has been with us now just a little bit before me. The fact is, I remember her on the hiring one. I interviewed her, so I think she's been there just a couple of months if you remember Val. But Val's been with the DABS for the past 11.5 years, working as a regional manager and then a lead regional manager. Val has many years of experience working in the retail environment, with 30 years of experience in Target and 2 years of experience in Lowe's. During Val's time with our department, she earned several governor awards, including 3 for leadership, efficiency in reporting, employee work group, AX implementation team, and public service for the Park City Assistance Team. Val's dedicated to great retail-related experience, and we're privileged to have her. So look forward to your consideration for her appointment.
Great. Does the commission have any questions or comments? We've got both of our directors here. I would move that we accept. Great. Okay. Move to accept the appointments, or to make the appointments by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Seconded by Commissioner Randall. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, congratulations. Oh, you know what? We're going to have to rewind. We will need a separate vote for each. So let's, Commissioner Orton, I assume that
I'll
that,
move to accept the appointment of Erica Evans first.
great, thank you. Second, and I assume that the second on that, then Commissioner Randall was on that particular appointment. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, we've approved that first appointment. Is there a motion on Val's Retail Stores Division Director appointment?
I'll move that we accept the Val's appointment as well.
All right, moved by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Congratulations, you guys. And I don't know if congratulations or condolences, but just thank you for all you do for us. And it's a pleasure to work with you both. Great. Next on our agenda is reviewing and approving the fiscal year 2024 internal audit plan. I understand that Tracy is joining us online.
Good morning,
Maybe-
commissioners.
Why don't we go ahead and we're having a little bit of technical. Tracy, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. We've got the volume coming up.
Okay, commissioners, there was a copy of the 2024 plan included in your packet, and hopefully you had an opportunity to review that. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those now.
So I know that we've had some time to review this. Thank you, Tracy, for providing it to us. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Chair Tenor, obviously I'm not a commissioner, but on behalf of the department and leading the department, I just would like to note that the proposal includes an audit and a review on the D365 implementation, looking at internal controls, finance and accounting processes. We have recently, as you all know, had an implementation. Some parts have gone very smoothly. Some parts have been a bit bumpy and a bit rocky. So we are very much looking forward and eager to have an independent review and an audit of this and really look forward to what will come out of that so that we can continue to improve and refine anything that needs attention after that. So just wanted to call that to your special attention and tell you that we think that this will be really good, and we stand and ask you to please approve this proposal.
Great, thank you. And I'll just note that Tracy is always incredibly thorough and independent in her audits, and it's a great tool for us as a commission. And then I know for a department, it's a great tool. And I was glad to see that particular item on the audit as well as the others that are there. I also just want to note, as I've had discussions with Deputy Director Meyer and Executive Director Clayson, commissioners, if you see something that comes up during the year that you think deserves special attention, that's always something that we can talk to Tracy and then the leadership team at DABS about, and we can figure out how to work it into the audit process or calendar. But generally, I think that we have a solid plan for the year. And if there's no questions, I would be looking for a motion of approval.
I'm not sure. I make the motion. We approved the budget plan, and it's I'm very impressed with the work that Tracy's done. She's very happy to have me, and look forward to this coming year. It's proposed plan.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Parrish. We have a motion before us to approve the fiscal year 2024 internal audit plan. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Randall. Any further discussion?
Chair, can I just clarify
Mhm.
Commissioner Parrish's motion that he meant audit plan and not budget plan?
Is that right, Commissioner Parrish? It's you're moving to approve the FY24 internal audit plan. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Thanks for that clarification. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Right. Tracy,
Thank
we
you,
appreciate
commissioners.
you executing on the plan and just keep
Thank you.
us posted. Next on the agenda are a couple of announcements. We have proposed future meet dates for our next 2 months. We plan to meet at our regular location, the Taylorsville State Office Building, on Friday, July 21st. You'll note that this is a little bit different than our regular Thursday meeting, but we just need to get in front of the holiday and accommodate that. And then we plan to meet on Thursday, August 31st. And so if you have an application that needs to be before us, or have any sort of business that needs to be before the commission, please just be working closely with the staff at the DABS to make sure that deadlines are being met and that we're able to process these things efficiently. Public comments is the next item. As always, those who are present today who would like to provide public comment, we do welcome that. Just to run this in an orderly way, I need you to complete the form that is located in the back. So Vicky's kind of pointing towards it. So please fill out which agenda item you'd like to comment on. We also have a place for general comment at the end of the meeting. So please fill that out. And then for those who are participating virtually, as always, we ask that you sign up for public comment ahead of the meeting, so that you email your name, city, topic, and affiliation, if it's applicable, to hotline@utah.gov by 5 p.m. on the day. Well, and this time around, we had a little bit of extra time in here given 5 p.m. the day before the meeting. Vicki, have we received any indication of comment through that hotline?
No, we haven't, and also we currently don't have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, and then finally, holiday closures. We've mentioned this, we have some holidays coming up. Liquor stores and the DABS administrative offices and warehouse will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th, which is Independence Day, and then Monday, July 24th, which is Pioneer Day. So as I mentioned, with all of the holidays and a little bit of variation in the commission schedule, please work closely with the DABS to make sure that all of your business is taken care of. So, next, we have a financial update from Sean Wilford. We're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, Sean. Looking forward to your update. Okay. Maybe as we pull Sean up, Commissioner Parrish, are there any comments that you'd like to make? I know that you and Commissioner Randall and Commissioner Terrazon review the finances in detail in the operations deliberations. Is there any context you'd like to provide before Sean shares the update?
We observed one thing, and that was that there has been a pattern somewhat of our revenues increasing, but our cost of goods not increasing or maybe going down. And it could be an indicator of change in buying patterns and habits. And so we suggested to the commission that we take a look at that, and that the procurement and purchasing review buying habits and patterns and make sure that we're aligned.
Excellent, thank you. It'll be interesting to see some of those data, and it sounds like you'll have better tools to share that data with us. So we'll look forward to that. Sean, are you ready to give your update?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Yes. Good morning, commissioners. Are you able to hear me?
A little louder. Sean, speak up as loud as you can, and we'll see if we can get the volume up a bit in the room.
Yeah, good morning, commissioners. Are you able to hear me?
Great, thank you.
Okay, good, thanks. I'm pleased to be able to present to you this morning the financials for May fiscal 2023. Revenues for the month of May were $42.8 million, about $750,000 or 2% higher than last year, May. And year-to-date revenues as of the end of May were $529.5 million, which is about $20.4 million higher than last year at the same time, which is a 4% increase over fiscal year 2022's numbers. After cost of goods sold,
Thank you, Sean. Questions of the commission? Sean, I wonder if just for the public and actually for the commission as well, you can talk about the kind of the timing of the close of the fiscal year. If I understand correctly, we won't necessarily see final numbers next month. There'll be a 13th month reconciliation essentially period. And the Division of Finance will finalize numbers sometimes in the fall for the fiscal year. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. About the middle of July, the revenues will be, close to what the final numbers will be. But what July and into the beginning of August are used for is to pay all of the bills that have come in from what was, received, delivered, or what service was performed during fiscal year 2023. And once that's complete and we perform what's called closeout, then state finance begins working on the liquor profit transfer calculation, which is an elaborate formula that they, by code, have to work through to be able to get to what the final numbers will be that we then transferred to, or they actually transferred to the general fund, which needs to occur by the end of September. And at that point, the beginning of October is when we actually close or have our final numbers for our annual report.
Great. Great. Thank you for providing that context. Great. With no questions, we'll go ahead and move on to our Parents Empowered update. Doug, we appreciate you being here and are excited to hear the update as we always are.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I wanted to thank you just for recognizing and welcoming our local area prevention partners. And if I may, I'd like to say just a couple words about Annie Parker, Alex Hutchinson, and Ryan Barfus. Annie is a member of our underage drinking, Parents Empowered Underage Drinking Work Group, and she participates with us weekly and just provides some terrific input. And she also is the substance misuse prevention lead for Bear River Health. And she guides prevention efforts in Cache, Rich, and Box Elder County. So a wide area of coverage there that she does. And then Alex Hutchinson is with Bear River Health as well. She's involved with the local area alcohol and tobacco compliance check program. So she works closely with local law enforcement agencies and as well as, Utah DPS. So we're appreciative of her work. And then Ryan Barfus is with Utah State University's Student Health and Wellness Center, doing drug and alcohol prevention education at the university and college level. So we appreciate them all for being here. And I just want to say that it's so important to have quality people at the local level. It makes all the difference, right? When we've got the state program, Parents Empowered, and without their support and efforts here at the local level, it'd be very difficult to reach, communities such as the area here. So we're appreciative of them. And so thank you for your help. And then moving on, just wanted to talk a little bit about, I know last month I had mentioned that we have this annual underage drinking prevention parent survey that we do. And I have to apologize. The survey just completed this week, so we haven't had time to analyze it and come up with a findings report, but that will be available in 2 weeks. So if it's okay, next commission meeting, I'll report out on that. I did get a few tidbits from the report. In the past years, we've done a telephone survey, 600 sample size. And of course, over the years, we've needed to switch from landlines to cell lines. And so now we're at complete cell lines. One of the things we were told is that It's a little difficult to reach parents on cell phones. Just because a lot of the numbers that they use, and maybe they pass their cell phone on to their kids. And so it's kind of a little more difficult. So we went to an online survey, and what we're seeing preliminarily is that the online survey is much more feasible. It's more cost effective. The only drawback might be that we're getting a little bit not as an engaged response in terms of, the answers. You don't have that, two-way conversation that you would with a phone survey. But we were assured that they're weeding those out. Anytime we didn't get a good response, they're not included in the data. So we're encouraged by that. We did run the 2 surveys this time parallel, just because we didn't want, we want to see how it impacts the outcomes of the answers. So we'll take a look at all of those things, as well as the details of the survey, and share that with you next time. So also just want to mention, you said fiscal year end. We're already moving into the new fiscal year. We're going to have our media plan proposal in the next couple of weeks for the fiscal year 2024, and also the creative concepts. It's time to come up with our new campaign for the year. So anyhow, lots going on, but apologize for not having the data for you this month.
Please, no apologies, and we'll look forward to seeing it when it's ready. And if you have any sort of written report that goes along with it, we'd appreciate seeing that as well. But we'll look forward to the report next month. Are there any questions for Doug, or even our prevention partners? We do appreciate you being here, and it's good to put names with faces. So thank you. All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on. And again, we'll just, Doug, I know we always say it, but we truly appreciate all you do for our state. And it's just a pleasure to get the update every month. So thank you. Okay, moving on, we've got our operations update coming from Director Clayson.
Great, thank you, Chair Tenner. I want to be very brief, because through some of the other updates, both from Sean and Doug, that really covers a lot of what we have going on right now in the department, with all of the duties and responsibility and work that comes with tying up things for the fiscal year end. In addition to just saying that we've got a lot going on, and feeling really confident and excited about closing the year out and starting a new year, I really just wanted to focus my operations update and comments on thanking each and every one of you, all 7 of you, for making what we're doing today a priority, because I think it really helps. It helps us, it helps the people that we serve, and I really do think, because I see all 7 of you work with one another as colleagues, helps each of you as you have these really important decisions to make, especially related around scarcity for certain licenses, coming outside of off the Wasatch Front is really helpful. And so we appreciate you prioritizing that and doing that. And was just quickly to thank our staff who worked really hard to prepare all of the logistics and information and arrangements for today to make today's meeting happen, in addition to some of the field trips that will be taken and have been taken. To that point, ask Kate for just a minute or two in the operations update to cover the package agency visit that some of you were able to make yesterday. I do want to make sure to note for the public record that we were really careful last night and then today to follow Open Public Meetings Act. And so at no point during the course of any of these field trips was there a quorum or anything that shouldn't have been taking place in that respect. Okay.
Thank you. Yesterday was really great. On our way up to Logan, we were able to stop by the Morgan Package Agency and visit with Julie and Danny, the owners of that package agency, and just what a great job they're doing there. And it was fun to visit their store. In fact, while we were there, they were receiving a load. And so some of the members and staff there were able to help them unpack and bring the product in. So really appreciate their willingness to host the commission. And I just wanted to take a moment though, and if I can, if any of the commissioners that were there, if they want to provide any feedback on their experience and what they saw. Anything from you, Tom? Put you on the spot.
Thanks, Kate. You know, it's good to have friends and then it's good to have.
Keep your,
No,
keep your enemies
I
close.
think the important thing for the whole community to know is we have some very dedicated people who are operating these package agencies and who have pride in what they're doing. And we could see in this particular package agency, a lot of pride in the way they fixed up their place and the way that they were stocking the merchandise, the way they were dealing with customers as they came in there. And of course, package agencies play a very important role in us meeting our obligations to the state of Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just add that I thought it was really interesting while we were there. They had several customers come in from other parts of the state who said, I live somewhere else, but I come up here on the weekends, I come to see family or whatever, and we love this store. And I think that it had to do with not just the incredible selection. I was actually really surprised to see what an incredible selection they had in the Morgan store, but it also had to do with the way they treat their customers. It's just a very friendly, happy environment. So it made me, I mean, we just had a fun, happy visit and it was great to be there. It's always fun to go out and meet our licensees out in the, you know, our licensees and our package agencies and everyone. It's just fun. And thanks for hosting us.
Thank you for that. And a special thanks to the Morgan Package Agency. So appreciate that.
That concludes our report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments beyond that? All right, thank you all. Great. Next on our agenda is an action item. It is violations, and we have a consent calendar before us that everyone has spent some time with. Sam, would you please give us a quick briefing?
Thank you, Commission Chair, Commissioners. Items 1 through 21 on the consent calendar are complete with signed settlement agreements and ready for commission action.
All right. Thank you.
I would move the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar by Commissioner Jacobson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Right, we'll rule that those settlement agreements are approved by the commission. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Next, we have licensee recognitions. Like I say, I'm glad that this comes after violations because it gives us a positive note. Director Clayton, can you take us through those licensees that have passed inspection by SBI?
Yes, thank you, Chair Tenard. You'll note for those of you that have not seen it yet, commissioners, a full list of all 42 licensees that passed inspections for the month of May are in your packet. We also have them reflected here on the screen for those joining us virtually or those of us in the room. As I mentioned, we have 42 listed. And again, like I'm always amazed that these inspections, they don't just cover a particular one area or one location or just Salt Lake City. We've got entities and organizations here in Delta, Tooele, Ogden, Magna, and really all over the state. We've got Nephi, and then Harriman, everything from bowling alleys to pubs. We've got bars. And again, we've got small mom and pop businesses, and we also have national chains. So I again want to thank you for allowing us to be a part of this recognition and making sure that we're recognizing, celebrating, and thanking these operators who work really hard to have tied up, refined operations that promote and support public health and safety and curb underage buying. So thank you very much, not only to you all commission, but to our licensees that are listed here.
Yes, thank you to those licensees. Does the commission have any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Jacobson.
Yes, I hate to be Chicken Little, but Chicken Little proved to be one of my best friends. Actually, I think, you know, this is a great program and shows us that there are a lot of good operators out there. But I think one of the things that we ought to take note about in our attempt to try to improve compliance is we had 21 entities that had to sign settlement agreements this month. And we had 40-some that passed, and shows us that basically of what we're looking at, there's still 50% of the people that are visited by SBI and law enforcement are not passing. And one of my concerns in looking at the past few months of the violations that have occurred and that we've had to settle is we have a very, very large percentage where it's sale to minor.
Yeah.
And I know since we have some folks here who are very interested in addressing the issue of underage drinking, that this is something I think that the entire restaurant and hospitality community needs to address, is we are not, I think, being we're not educating the people who work in this industry well enough to stop having these 21 or 20 so every month violations on our calendar that show sale to a minor. And I would hope that we would continue our efforts to try to educate those in the hospitality, so that when Director Clayson reports in a couple of months from now,
Yeah.
we don't have 40 on here, we have 60 or 80,
Yeah.
and we have 0 on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. It's a good point, well made.
So, provide public feedback, Tanner.
I'll allow it. Go ahead. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to clarify something about that number. These numbers cannot be compared from 42 to the
Really
21.
quickly,
Tanner Leonard, just attorney on behalf of licensees. We have the numbers actually from Sergeant Cannon at the SBI. It's actually more closer to 89% passage rate when you're looking at restaurants for those specific undercover visits, and 92% passage rate for bars for last year, 2022. We just had a great conversation with him about that. I just wanted to clarify it because that did sound really bad. It's way better than 50%. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. I would like to get to the point where we're at zero or as close to zero as possible on that service to minors. That's a pretty simple thing where an ID just needs to be checked. And so our licensees, continue to need to focus on that. Appreciate those that have passed and their diligence, and also appreciate, you helping us to have an idea of kind of the magnitude of this issue. And I would just ask if Director Clayson, if you could work with the entities that have been alluded to get us the data, so we just have kind of an understanding of how those data work. But I think, again, thank you for clarifying. And then I also, again, confirm that Commissioner Jacobson's point is well taken. So thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next action item, which is a consent agenda. As you know, we've implemented, we have a consent calendar that's related to violations. As you know, that we've recently implemented a consent agenda. On a consent agenda are all of those items that are, relatively non-controversial. In this case, for example, licenses that don't have a great deal of scarcity. Full briefings are provided to the commission ahead of time, and we have time to study these things. And so it's just an efficiency in a meeting to put those types of items onto a consent agenda. Per rules around this, any commissioner can ask that an item be removed and discussed individually. And so we will, of course, open that option as necessary. But as we are this is the second month that we're doing this, so I just wanted, as chair, to note the fact that note what we're doing with this consent agenda. So with that, I'll turn the time over to Erica Evans to present the agenda to us.
Thank you, Chair Tanner. So in the consent agenda, you will see approval of the meetings minutes from May, bar license renewals, change of location and extended closure request, and some but not all license applications. As Chair Tanner mentioned, bar establishment licenses and full service restaurant licensees will be considered separately because of the license scarcity that we're experiencing with those. And the likely need to discuss those a little more thoroughly. You will see license applications for off-premise beer retailers, on-premise beer recreational amenity applicants, industrial manufacturing representative, manufacturing brewery, limited service restaurants, beer only restaurants, and an on-premise tavern applicant as well. As Chair Tenner mentioned, the commission had an opportunity to ask questions of staff leading up to this meeting. It's important to note that staff has looked over this. Applications on the consent agenda have been process vetted and found to meet all statutory requirements. And if there are no questions from the commission, I think the chair is looking for a motion to approve.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I'll move that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? Great, that agenda has been passed. Skip a couple pages. Okay. Next action item then, bifurcated into a couple sub items, our license application consideration. First, we have bar established application or applicants, and Rob, I understand that you'll be presenting these to us. We have, let's deal with the change of ownership request first.
Good morning, commissioners. We have 3 changes of ownership. We have About Time Pub and Grub Vineyard. We have Repeal. Repeal is conditional, and then Hopkins Brewing Company. Hopkins is no longer conditional. Applications are complete and meet statutory requirements.
Chair, may I ask a
Would you
question?
please?
Rob, I'm curious, why is repeal still conditional?
It's conditional because they will not be opening until January. So they still need to get items to us like insurance, bond, venue, and pass final inspection.
So if we approve the change of ownership for repeal, they will be obligating a bar license, but not opening until January?
That's correct. And so as they're required to open within 30 days, they can request an extension which staff can grant up to 60 days. Past 60 days, they have to come back before the commission for approval of an extended closure. So they will be making that request in the future.
Can I ask why changing ownership and they're going to be closed for a period of 6 months? Why?
They're doing a great big remodel of the place. The place with the license that's currently there is Bourbon House, and they're completely remodeling the place.
Is there a representative of repeal available? We didn't ask for this. ahead of time, so just-
This is Kelly Howard. Yes, I'm actually just recently purchased Bourbon House and working through that.
Sir, just 1 second. Let us get our audio sorted out, and then we would like you to state your name and affiliation.
Okay.
Give us 1 minute or 10 seconds. All right. Yes, sir, please go ahead and state your name and your affiliation.
My name is Kelly Howard, and I am I'm the purchaser of Bourbon House, and will be opening Repeal in that same location.
Okay, thank you. Sir, so just to confirm, it will be in the same location?
It is, yes.
I know you said that, but I just want to confirm that. And January, how firm are you on that January open date?
Fairly certain that's going to be correct. We've actually just done asbestos testing yesterday. Once those results come back, we can start demolition and finalize the design. We're expecting within the next 4 to 6 weeks to actually have the building permit in with Salt Lake City and then start moving forward.
All right, thank you. Please don't take this as us picking on you. It's just we continually deal with license scarcity, and as we have new applicants seeking applications, we're very careful to make sure that the doors are ready to open given the scarcity issue. And so just understanding your timing on construction and opening is helpful as we consider this change of ownership. Knowing that, and I'll look to Rob and Erica to make sure I'm stating this correctly, knowing that the statute is a little bit different on time to open on change of ownership, as you mentioned, basically the department can grant up to 60 days, and then the decision comes to the commission on whether or not we continue to extend that closure. is different than in a new application where if a license is awarded conditionally, the applicant has 18 months to open. So I'll just point out to the commission, again, given the feedback we're getting and the input we're getting, this is a little bit different, but nevertheless, we do have a scarcity of licenses. Any further questions for Rob or I guess it would be the applicant.
Yeah, our intention is to bring it back for the August commission meeting, and then we'll have an update on his progress. We'll make sure we have that.
Well, can we continue this then to the August meeting, or do we have to do it now?
No, this would be an approval now for the change of ownership. And then in August, it'll be for an extended closure.
Go ahead, Erica.
In order for that timeline to kick in, you have to approve the change of ownership.
What would happen if we did not approve this month and we held until August? Would there be an issue because the license would sit with would they have
It would sit either way.
So
Would they have a premise?
The license wouldn't be used because the place is under construction.
They would be asking for an extended closure either way.
Right.
But we don't have to grant extended closure come August, or do we?
Could the department grant an extended closure for the current owner now?
If requested, that's something that we could evaluate.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would just say that, again, no disrespect to our applicant at all. We just see every month that the best intentions of applicants when they try to make a wild guess as to when their construction will be completed are never true. I can't remember the last time an applicant said, we will be complete on this date and actually completed on that date. I see this as a long extended closure. And I'm concerned about holding up a license when we have so many applicants who are coming before us and know that they are expected to be ready to open before we'll even consider them to have a license. It's a hard lift for me.
Chair, go ahead. To add to the point that Commissioner Orton is making, just reviewing the list of current bar applicants that we have 12 bar applicants that are projected to open before this change of license would be activated. So I think the struggle that I'm having is that we're essentially encumbering a license that will not be used when really the better use of a license might be to deny this change of location and have the applicant reapply to be ready for when they are open, essentially getting in line.
Because we will have new applicants,
right,
in addition to these 12.
I'm concerned. So I'm so concerned about this. The fact that, as Commissioner Vice Chair Tui has pointed out, we have a number that, are looking for a license before this license is set to go back online. But in the face of all of that, by the time this licensee is coming, is ready to open its doors, we won't have licenses. And so we're talking about a business that I imagine has made a tremendous investment already in the purchase of this, in its purchase, putting them into a precarious situation. And again, it's the way that we're almost pushed into this position, given the fact that the licenses are in the place that they are, but this is what's troubling to me. Yeah.
Well, and all of these others are in a similar situation. They have all put out significant capital.
Yep.
And the expectation of them is that they will be ready to open before we give them a license. And so I just struggle with the inconsistency. That's my one concern.
Chair, can I ask
go
a
ahead,
question?
Commissioner Parrish, and then Commissioner Jacobson. Go ahead.
We're dealing really with two issues, aren't we? One is transfer of ownership, And the second one is an extension for closure.
Yes.
Are we asking them to turn their license in and let it expire? Or can we vote on the change of ownership and then decide on whether we want to give them a closure extension?
Commissioner Parrish, that I think that's a good bifurcation of issues, and that is you've hit the nail on the head on what we're recognizing. I'm going to go to Commissioner Jacobson, and then I imagine this point will be.
I have some questions for the proposed owner of the transferee.
Commissioner Jacobson, before we go, that can we just make sure that we're clear? We'll come right back to you on just this point that Commissioner Parrish is making. So today we're being asked to approve the change of ownership. And then we anticipate and we appreciate that the new owner is being very upfront about their plans and communicating with the department. And because of that, because they've been transparent, we're anticipating that they will apply for an extended closure, which the department would likely grant 60 days, and then they would be before us to ask for an additional extended closure through January. So that's where, so again, today would be on the license transfer and then anticipating this extended closure request. If we weren't to approve the transfer today, we likely would hear from the existing owner, well, in 60 days on the same thing for an extended closure. So I just thank you for making that point and just want to make sure that we're clear on what we're deliberating on today. And apologies, Commissioner Jacobson, I wanted to have that in our mind as you asked the applicant some questions. So go ahead, please.
Yes, from what I'm gathering, and correct me if I'm wrong with this assumption, is that whatever's in the existing premises right now, that would be any furniture, any bars, all that others, any wall coverings, those are all going to be removed. Is that correct?
Yeah, the intention is to take off, including basically everything. The 2 bars that exist are going to be torn down to concrete flooring. A new bar will be built on a side where the bar does not exist. All of the sheetrock will be taken down and will go all the way to concrete on the walls, ceilings, and floors. We will look at a structural change of removing a couple of walls, putting steel structure in place to support that, and then moving forward with new furniture and equipment.
Okay, and are these premises going to be owned by you, or are you going to be leasing the premises?
It is leased premises. 10-year lease has been executed. It is in the basement of the Walker Center downtown.
Okay, so is the lease, this 10-year lease, is this a brand new lease that you will be executing on the property?
That is correct.
So since you're not buying a lease and you're not going to use any furniture, existing wall coverings, or any other fixtures, what is it exactly that you are buying from the seller?
So the actual purchase is not highly significant. It's actually the liquor inventory and then the kitchen equipment for the most part.
Are you going to be replacing any kitchen equipment?
We will, yes. So the kitchen equipment that is basically included is triple sink, wash machines, a couple of those items. And then I have 2 bar fridges and a couple of bar freezers that makes up the balance. But yes, kitchen equipment, about $120,000 of kitchen equipment will be put in place. We're actually expanding the kitchen from what it was, and we're doubling the size of that kitchen.
So you will be paying $120,000 for new kitchen equipment, correct?
That's correct.
Has there been any valuation done on the existing kitchen equipment that will remain?
Yeah, there's about a $7,000 valuation. It's on both bar and kitchen equipment that's in place.
I'm going to be real honest with you, sir. What I'm seeing right now is that you're buying whatever goodwill there is in the business and buying the right to have a bar license. I don't see any, and the $7,000 in kitchen equipment. Is there anything else that you're buying besides the bar license, the goodwill of the business, and the existing kitchen equipment?
So the liquor asset, I did provide a full inventory to Rob. There's about $14,000 in liquor that's there. The purchase price of the actual business is a total of $20,000. So between the bit of kitchen equipment, bar fridges, bar freezers, $14,000 in liquor, a $20,000 purchase doesn't really leave room for other than equipment and the assets.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for being forthright with us.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Erica, I understand that you have some insight to share.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're being clear about the timeline.
Okay.
So the operations of under the alcohol license have to begin within 30 days after the commission approves the change of ownership. The department may grant an extension of time for 30 days or up until the next commission meeting. So that's where that 60 days comes in. And then it would go to the commission to evaluate whether or not they want to provide another extension. And it says one or more extensions, so you could do this multiple times. Based on the applicant improving the licensed premises, that they've obtained building permits if necessary, and that they're working quickly to complete it. That's one reason that you can grant that extension in code. If that makes sense.
Thank you for that clarification.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
one more thing, if they don't meet those timelines, statute also provides that the license is forfeited.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Important points. Director Clayson, can you give us some advice on this? I'm hearing this discussion and I mean, I agree. I'm concerned about consistency in, a new applicant who's making capital investments in the same way. And we're unable, have felt like we're unable to give them any sort of certainty until they come to us with everything in hand, construction completed, business license. This situation is different. And I've mentioned kind of my concern on both sides, and Commissioner Jacobson's done a nice job of really getting to the point of what's being purchased. And so you can kind of see what we're struggling with. Do you have advice for us? You have a bit of history with this, with the department on how we normally handle these things.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Tenor. I would just, state that that I can definitely appreciate, especially with the scarcity of bar licenses. You do have a surplus at the moment, but we do know that that surplus is finite. So I can completely understand and appreciate not only philosophically the conversation and the thinking behind this and wanting consistency and all of the other things sort of that make up this discussion. And your authority and jurisdiction in this space and in this discussion. I would just say that this would be a pretty significant policy change. And only in light of knowing that what's before you today first is the approval, and knowing that this deal and negotiations have already been underway with the assumption of how the commission has previously handled these change of ownership actions, that you all might want to consider that it could be today that you're putting on the record how you feel about this, and that moving forward, this would be something that the commission wants to do, consider, think about for future, for folks that are looking at these types of acquisitions and business decisions, so that they have that understanding of where the commission is at. And they can factor that into the decision whether to get into a business like this or not. So obviously you all, this is your jurisdiction. You have the ability to make this decision. That would just be something I would note. I know it's something we've tried to do in the department, is to make sure that we can give some advanced communication and heads up to the community anytime we have significant policy changes. And so I just wanted to put that on the record for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any, I'll be looking for motions in a minute. I had given this conversation and the fact that the one that we are discussing is conditional, and we've talked about the reasons it's conditional. I think it's prudent to go ahead and take these as separate action items. So just putting that out there right now. Are there any other questions of the commission for the applicant, for the staff, for each other on these applicants? Go ahead, Commissioner Jacobson.
There's been some discussion about, okay, if we give the license, we don't have to give an extension. I have a moral problem with the concept of, okay, we're going to give you a license, but we all know we're not going to give you an extension. I think if we're not going to give an extension, we need to be pretty forthright now, because the the transferee in this case will invest a tremendous amount of money in the first 90 days on this, and it will be relying upon the fact that we approved it. So to that extent, I think you have to face the issue now. You can't just pass that on. And I will say, you know, as kind of extreme as it sounds, the policy that the legislature laid out for us in the last time they addressed the transfers of licenses, we're not going to sell licenses anymore. And so that is the legislative policy. And to that extent, this particular transaction that we've been discussing appears to be a sale of the license with a minimal sale of assets. We saw that before the legislature enacted the prohibition of selling licenses, they were selling for $100,000 in some cases more. And this case here, you know, there's not $100,000 that's being transferred, but there is a license being transferred. So I think we have to show that concern. And I think it would be wrong for us to approve this if everyone on the commission had the idea, well, we're not going to approve an extension, because on the other hand, that it falls on us in misleading the applicant and having them spend money.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson.
May I speak?
Is there, did I hear someone? Oh,
This is Kelly Howard, the
for one,
applicant.
I apologize. We're just turning the volume up. Go ahead.
So I do want to make clear there is an asset in place. It was a change of ownership. The purchase of the business was based on evaluation of the liquor. Again, I have supplied Rob Hanson that list of that inventory, which it exceeds $14,000. The purchase price of $20,000 includes a dishwashing machine, 2 3-door bar fridges, 2 bar freezers, and 2 bar glass machines as well. So the asset and the value of $20,000, there's not a purchase of a license that's included here. It's from the Bourbon House Group, White Horse Whiskey Street, Franklin Avenue. I entered into a negotiation with them to just purchase them out of that existing location and retain those assets. So I just want to make clear that it is not a purchase of a business or a purchase of a liquor license.
Thank you for putting that on the record and sharing those magnitudes with us. They are instructive. I'm going to go ahead and ask us to look at item under 12A, item number 1, Bout Time Pub and Grub. That's the license change of ownership that Rob's presented to us that is not conditional. I'd be looking for a motion on this. Okay, let's go ahead and combine them together. So on those items that are not conditional, which are Bout Time Pub and Grub Vineyard and Hopkins Brewing Company, Salt Lake City. And I heard Commissioner Jacobson has moved to approve. Was there a second? No, seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, so those change of ownerships are approved. So now we have left under change of ownership repeal, which would be conditional, has been discussed.
I've got a motion.
Okay.
So for repeal, I appreciate the conversation that we've had today. I think this is a terrible situation that this applicant is in by not their own making. This is the repercussions of the legislative policy that we've been given, which is bad for business, right? In this case, and in many cases. I think the motion that I'd like to put on the table, and then I'll explain it. I'd like to move that we approve the license change of ownership for repeal. And the explanation behind that is I'm not trying to call anybody's morals into question here, including my own, by moving this license application forward, because all this applicant is doing is following the law that has been laid out. This is the option that they have to open a business in an existing space. It is what it is. They are following the options that they have been legally provided. However, I also would like to express my intention that I am going to probably not be in favor of approving an extended closure request when it comes to us. So knowing that, I don't think it's They've met the statutory requirements. I don't see any reason to vote no on the license change of ownership. But the separate question, as Commissioner Parrish pointed out, is the extended closure, which will be coming before us in August. And it's unfortunate, but I do want to put the applicant on notice that me personally probably will not be in favor of supporting the extended closure because of the long list of bar applicants who are in the same position of investing their capital and their time into opening these businesses. And just as of this month, you know, that is at least 10 or 11 or 12 applicants. So, Rob, I'm talking to you like this is your problem, but it's just what you're standing right there. Sorry.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, so I wanted to explain my motion and the thinking behind it, but I agree with Commissioner Parrish and others that this is a separate situation. I feel that they've met the statutory requirements for the license change of ownership, and that's why I'm moving that we approve.
All right, so there is a motion to approve by Commissioner Tui. And again, that would just be the approval, and then the applicant or the new owner would work with the department on extended closure. And the commissioner has made her point about where she is on extended closures past the department's jurisdiction. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay.
And
So we
note
can have
that
discussion.
I won't
Yeah.
approve the extended
Yeah.
closure likely either. come
All right.
that timeframe,
Thank-
Just for the sake of record and for the applicant. to be
Thank you,
aware of.
thank you, Commissioner Randall. So moved by Commissioner Tui, approved or seconded by Commissioner Randall, discussion, Commissioner Randall.
Several months ago, we had an applicant come before us. I'm going to name them. It was Senoritas. And we did not grant them a license. And the situation was very similar. And I'm having a hard time seeing how Senoritas was different from this. And you know, I have a burr in my side for consistency. And I totally agree with the motion, but I won't be voting in favor of it simply because I just can't get past the fact that we asked Senoritas to come back when they were ready. So with that,
Yeah.
I'm opposing the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Opposed.
Vicky, can we do roll call? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Chair Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tui,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
No.
Commissioner Carazana.
Oh.
No. Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobson.
No.
But everyone?
She does not have to afford them.
Thank you. All right, so the motion does not pass. We would just look to the department to, are there any other, yeah, so we don't approve the change. Are there any other motions that anyone would like to make on this item? All right, so I just want to ask the, go ahead.
I think the thing to do is to have the transferor and transferee
Yes.
discuss this with staff,
Mhm, yeah.
and then it can be put on a future agenda if there is any change.
I appreciate you taking the words out of my mouth. Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. So staff, can you just make sure that you work with the current licensee and owner
So
on options?
to clarify, if the current licensee asks for a closure, which staff can grant 90 days.
No, 60.
No,
Well,
because
we'll
now
just let
it's not a change of ownership now.
Yes, they're,
It'd
and that's,
just be a regular,
so we'll leave that to the department to follow kind of like your regular protocol on that and work with them.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. Moving on, so now we have new applications, moving on from change of ownership, now we have new applications. We've, again, because of scarcity, and this is where this discussion was, we were having the discussion for consistency's sake. Because of scarcity, the commission has been sticking to a criteria of not awarding or sticking to it, not awarding bar licenses or full service restaurant licenses conditionally, unless it's called for by the municipality. So in some cases, the business license is imminent upon the award of the DAVS license. And so I know that our commission members have been discussing this, and we'll stay the course on this month. And so given that, we'll be considering two, the Gem Nightclub and Sayonara Yuki. Rob, can you brief us on these applications?
Yeah, let me just start by saying at the beginning of this meeting, we started with 13 bar licenses available, but because of the consent agenda, there was a bar license that was surrendered upon receipt of a beer rec. So we actually have 14 licenses available now. So the first one here on the agenda is the Gem Nightclub. They have met the statutory requirements. They were on the agenda last month. They are ready to go. And then we have Sayonara. And these both are located in Salt Lake City, and they have met the statutory requirements.
All right. I would like to speak to both I'd like to give the opportunity to speak to the applicants. But before I do that, does the commission have any questions on these items of Rob?
Just the two. Just the two are ready to go.
That's correct, just the two. And I know representatives of Gem are here, and I believe Sayonara is online.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Why don't we have, to keep in order, we'll go ahead and ask the representatives of Gem Nightclub to come to the podium. And it would be great to get an update from you on, again, we understand from staff that all of the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. You have everything that's required to operate. This license would not be conditional. Can you just give us an update on your plans for opening, when that would be?
Sure. My name is Henry Martinez. I'm the Director of Operations for the Gem Nightclub. Contingent on the approval of a liquor license, we would have to purchase the liquor from the liquor store, and then probably better part of today, when we get back, start getting the bars ready. And then if everything's up, staff's already, they're coming back. Nobody's been terminated. So everybody from the old bartenders, cocktail servers, and barbacks will be coming back with us. We'll got them on the schedule, and we're looking to most likely open by tomorrow night.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for representatives of Gem?
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So thank you for coming up to Logan today. It's nice to see you here again in front of the commission. I hope you understand, based on the last discussion we had, this is just an ongoing issue that we're dealing with the scarcity of licenses. And so we are just trying to be extra thoughtful in our granting of licenses. To that extent, I wanted to address something. I watched what you submitted for the commission to review. You submitted a video and had an outline of your management structure. What I saw in what you submitted was your plan for entertainment, right? Your different music vibes, like on different levels or different areas of the club, and then a listing of managers with their background. And then in the video, it kind of bounced around. And in terms of, a concern that I'll get into a little bit, I want to dig in a little bit to security, because in the video, I noticed the gentleman that you've presented before that had the police background in charge of security. And he just kind of motions to a board that says white glove security. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. It looks
It's like a
cool
subtle
in the
approach,
video.
like soft,
Tell
not
me more
aggressive.
about that.
Yeah, it's just more kind of like instead of getting hands-on with a disgruntled guest or maybe over intoxicated. There's more, we call it like verbal jujitsu in a sense, where, you know, we try to diffuse the situation verbally before we have any sort of action to use some sort of use of force. So it's very clean and tactical. I've learned it myself from being in Las Vegas operations, then obviously him from law enforcement. It's just I think a better way to handle guests that are in a venue that serves alcohol, maybe a little bit overconsumed. And unfortunately, the security that was there prior didn't handle those situations that way.
Sure. So let me dig into that a little bit, because in preparation for this meeting, I looked at past data from last police reports at this location. And I want to preface this by saying I understand that this is a different management group, right? This is completely different. It's restructured. Things are changing. But I think from the clientele side, maybe just the names changing. I'm not saying anything from the I'm not seeing anything from the clientele or customer base side that's going to be necessarily a shift. And so I think it's important what you just dug into about your changing approach to security, because most of the past police reports that I looked into were related to bar fights, assaults, threats from employees, assault. So, I mean, the bar fights are the problem, right? And so I think that your new approach gives me a lot more comfort in thinking about how you're going to be dealing with this and mitigating the circumstances of past ownership in the same location. So if there's anything you'd like to say to that, go ahead.
Yeah, and I do feel that with the format that was there prior, that did steer a certain demographic there, but there was also no accountability on the management side either, you know, and I think I addressed this part, I think the last commission had, it is about accountability. And if the person on top isn't holding anybody under them accountable, then eventually everything is going to fall through the cracks, and then they're going to put themselves in the situation that they were. With the formats that are there, that whether it's the hip hop or the Latin, even EDM, because EDM, you think it's caters to a certain demographic, there's a lot of very bad things that get happen.
Remind us what EDM stands for some of
Stands
our
for
colleagues.
electronic dance music. So house, you know, techno, however you want to call it.
Thank you.
Even though it's a non-aggressive style of music, there is a lot of, you know, undesirable things that people consume in those environments, you know, and it's our job as management as well as security to be able to observe those things. And the same thing applies for any sort of genre. You know, it stops at the front before they come in, whether it's, you know, very extensive pat downs, searches, and then obviously visible signs of any sort of inebriation or intoxication. And then as well as inside, you know, in the inside we have, you know, she's not with us today, but Sienna Young is our compliance manager for the venue. So she's walking around looking for over intoxicated guys. She's looking for maybe a bartender or cocktail server that isn't in compliance with the Utah state laws. So these are constant things that we're implementing, and we have corrective action measures as well for the employees that do violate the, you know, compliance measures that we all have here. And same thing with security, and security is a very important, to me, I think security is the most important part of any venue.
And let's be honest, it's about patron safety and employee safety.
Employee safety, correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could keep going, but.
No, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Are there any other questions of the commission? Go ahead, Commissioner Orton.
So I know we've been over this over and again, but just for the record, could you verify that there is no affiliation whatsoever between the owners and managers of Jim and the owners and or owners and former managers of Echo, that there's no overlap between the two?
None at all whatsoever. The final severance and separation was when Mr. Kessler removed himself from the lease, which was the reason why the license was, you know, taken. At that moment, that's when we basically haven't seen him since. So.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission?
I think you and I had a discussion.
Yes, sir.
Before we began here, I just want to put that on the record. You indicated that for the most part that you'll have all new employees. Is that right?
No, all the employees are hired back
Okay. so
for
this
as far as line level employees, but management. We made some changes with some management.
But so the employees that are out on the floors, the bartenders, the servers, and all those folks will be people who work for the Echo Group. Is that right?
Prior to that, yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
And if I may add, when I did come in and take over operations, we did lose a lot of them. I'd say about 25-30% of the old Echo Karma staff, whether it was on their own will or our decision to part ways with them. There are a lot of things that are going to be implemented now that the Gem Nightclub is under our entity. That is, if they're not going to comply with it, then most likely they're probably not going to stay much longer, to be honest.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And we just did a casting call this past Tuesday for a contingent staff to be in place.
And just for the record, I'm sure you understand this, but you do understand that all of the alcoholic products that are served in your establishment have to be purchased in state.
Absolutely.
From our
100%.
store. Okay.
Yep.
From the
Mhm.
DABS.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve a bar license for the Gem Nightclub.
All right, motion to approve the Gem Nightclub license has been made by Commissioner Tui. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Is there any discussion? I'll just note that I'm going to recuse myself from this vote. I have a relationship with someone close to this establishment. So in an abundance of caution, I'm going to go ahead and recuse myself. All in favor? Are there any opposed? All right, we'll rule out that motion passes and Gem Nightclub has been awarded a license. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Right. All right, we would like the opportunity to just have a conversation with the Sayonara Yuki applicants. Are they available by online or online?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Thank you very much. Go ahead and state your name and affiliation for the record. And then we would love to hear, I don't think that we've had much interaction with you. And so we would love to hear about your establishment, just hear about your establishment and your plans for opening.
Sure. Thanks. My name is Ashton Aragon. I am one of the owners of Sayonara. We also own Tradition in Salt Lake City, right by Liberty Park. So Sayonara is, I don't know if you read my letter that I wrote to the commissioners. Sayonara is kind of 4 or 5 years in the making. My wife is Japanese and we've gone to Japan 6 times together, and we wanted to replicate a back alley Tokyo bar that we love so much out in Japan in the downtown area in Salt Lake. So we've been bringing back decor and different things from Japan for the last 5 years, and we've kind of collected those and have brought those into the space as decor. So it's very unique. It's going to be very different than any other bar in the downtown area. We worked really hard to get open quickly, wrapped up our inspections and our build out as fast as we could. Because our commencement date for our lease is August 1st, and we wanted to make sure we could get some cash flow going before our commencement date. So it's right in downtown. It's on 3rd and State. It's in a busy area, and we hope to be a good addition to the downtown bar and restaurant scene.
Great, thank you. Does the commission have any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Great. Commissioner Jacobson has moved that we approve the license for Sayonara in Salt Lake City. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, we'll rule that motion passes and
Thank you very much.
Sayonara has been granted a license. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to full service restaurant applicants. We'll note that the other applicants under bar establishments all have opening dates after today's meeting and would have to be awarded conditionally, as we mentioned. We won't be doing that this month. So moving on to full service restaurant applicants, we have, looks like 5 that are ready to operate. Corey, thanks for presenting these to us.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. There are 36 full service licenses available for summer seasonal. You have before you 5 that are on the agenda that are ready to operate. As of yesterday, there are 3 more all other applicants that are ready to operate at this time as well. And those 3 are Silver Reef Brewery, Pine Woods Grill, and Los Tapatios.
They confirms they are in. Great. So Corey, just to clarify on those 3 that you just mentioned.
Yes.
That means that their servers are trained, they've got their business license, they're ready to open.
Silver Reef and Pine Woods and also Los Tapatios do a swap for the business license.
Mhm.
So once you approve those, I will send those to those municipals.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have not traditionally necessarily spent a lot of time speaking to the full service restaurant applicants, and I would suggest that we conserve time by following tradition. However, I do want to allow that opportunity if the commission has any questions for any of these applicants that are ready to be awarded.
Number 5 is a violation. We usually have to address the commission.
All right. All right. May we speak to the representative of Buffalo Wild Wings? Thanks. Hi, welcome.
Good morning.
Please
Ish.
state, yeah,
Ish.
please go ahead and state your name and affiliation for the record.
Kurt Torres, District Manager.
Okay, thank you.
I am Jason Smith. I'm the Assistant General Manager for the Orem location.
Right. Unfortunately, we know you, so it's good to see you, but I.
You know what? You're gonna know me in a new way. That's what we've been working towards.
Yeah, so
Best practices.
can you actually please, I know we appreciate the briefings that we've gotten to date, but given that this application is here, I think it's very important that we confirm and understand the steps you're taking where we will not see a violation on this location or really any other location in the Buffalo Wild Wings franchise in Utah.
Absolutely. So as of the last update, we haven't changed anything with our policy. What we're doing in-house is we do have those ID scanners at the front door. That becomes our first line of defense, right? We ask, hey, do you plan on purchasing any alcohol with us today? If the answer is yes, the manager on duty has to use that scanner, make sure we do have a valid ID, and then we wristband that guest. Once that guest has been sat, the team member, whether it's server, bartender, will also have to, when taking the order, oh, I need to see your ID. So that becomes our second defense against serving anybody who, should not be having any alcohol. We do take that a step further. And I know maybe there's some concerns with this, but we have a high level of accountability around those in-house practices to the extent where if we see a team member not upholding that policy, it's moved to an immediate termination. Furthermore, if we are, able to validate that a manager knowingly is not taking action with those policies, that manager is also moved immediately to termination. So really what we've done within the brand is to create a culture that shows like, hey, this is important. We're not messing around when we say, hey, if you come in, you're 120 years old, this is the last beer you're ever going to have, you will get carded at the Buffalo Wild Wings, you will get wristbanded. That's not up to us to make that decision. This is the policy. So, that's what we have done specific at this location. All of our team members have been trained. All of our team members who work front of house, I guess, cooks don't get their serve safe alcohol, but hospitality, server, bartender, we have serve safe alcohol in hand for every one of those team members. All of our managers have been registered with the state, have fingerprints done. They have gone through training. However, if we do get this license, we're still going to revisit that since, we have been up and running for 2 months now. We do want to revisit that before we actually move into those practices, in person. Another thing we have done, Jason here, he's the assistant general manager. We know that we have a new restaurant we've just opened. So those managers haven't really had a lot of Buffalo Wild Wings experience. We've actually brought him over from another store, formerly at the Sandy location, because he's been with the company a long time. So him in conjunction with our general manager, will have about 8 years of Buffalo Wild Wings experience that we bring to knowing these policies, being able to act on them and uphold those standards.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for your presentation. It does sound just like when you presented before, and I appreciate that you've been sticking by it and that it sounds like you really are instilling a culture of, I don't know if compliance is the right word, but being safe. It's a culture of safety, which I very much appreciate. And I also just want to point out that I just think about going into a restaurant, and then presenting your ID at the door and getting a wristband and then going to sit down and having your ID checked again. Like, you're going above and beyond, and that's appreciated, and we'd love to see it continue. So I just want to say thank you for that, and hope to not see you back here unless it's to open another restaurant.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Randall.
One additional thing too, just scanning through these SBI checklists that Tiffany shares with us, we have seen the locations come up. So we do appreciate seeing those changes that have happened. I think in March.
Yeah.
My location was checked and.
We've had 2 more since then.
Okay.
So actually 4 more, 2 in April, 2 in June.
Great. So
So,
glad to see it's
and really, you know, we do want you to understand, we do take this very seriously, and we have, you know, not only myself, but my boss, the neighboring district manager, we're all on board. And I think we pointed out, we're even doing this in Idaho and Wyoming, which I know doesn't matter here, but you know, that's the extent we're taking it to.
Great. Appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner Randall, for putting that in the record, and gentlemen for your responses. Are there any other questions of these gentlemen? All right, we'll go ahead and excuse you because we'll likely take this potentially in one moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
In one movement, motion.
I would move that we approve items number 1 through 5 of the ready to operate, and items 2, 4, and 5 on the all other applicants.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Discussion. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, those full service restaurant licenses are granted. Congratulations and thank you. Oh. Okay, our final agenda item. So we're done with action items. Our final agenda item is comment from commissioners and the public. I don't believe that we had anyone sign up for public comment. Does the commission have any comment they'd like to put on the record? All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
I just want to thank everyone for hosting us here. I mean, I guess officially we are hosting you this morning, but it feels differently, and you've all been so friendly, and thank you for showing up for the meet and greet. So we had an opportunity to talk to you, and I just wanted to let you know how much it means to us to be able to come out and meet our applicants, our licensees, our package agency managers and owners, our managers at our stores. It's just been a great visit. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Well said, Commissioner Orton. Go ahead.
Just to piggyback onto that, this is extra special for me because I grew up in North Logan, spent 20 years of my life here, attended Utah State University, and was married right there.
Oh,
right outside on the patio.
Well, I'm gonna give you a picture of
So best. Yes, all the things. And, you know, it's really great being here in Logan, patronizing a lot of the establishments I grew up with and new ones. It's great to see Herms here, which is my family's go-to celebratory brunch, dinner, breakfast, special events, Christmas parties. Thank you, Herms. And many other great licensees in Cache Valley, and love to see it thriving, and appreciate you having the meeting here, Chair Tenner, and it's great to come home.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was going to say, I just have this really positive view of Aggies because we've got 2 colleagues, Commissioner Jacobson and Commissioner Terrier, are Aggies. And so I can feel it while we're here.
The great difference is when I here many moons before Commissioner Tui went here. You know, I'm glad the statute of limitations is run, because here I am today as an alcohol commissioner, and I hate to tell you what I was when I was
We've got better prevention folks now. I do I do
Madam
understand that.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
in
Commissioner Parrish.
in spirit of the meeting,
Yeah.
I might add, I didn't go here, but I've eaten enough Aggie ice
Yes,
cream to be an alum.
Commissioner Parrish and I are honorary Aggies, maybe with the ice cream. Maybe not true Aggies, but honorary Aggies. I do understand that there was a sign up for public comment. We just didn't get to the front. So go ahead, if you'd like to make public comment.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, please don't apologize. Please go ahead and state your name and affiliation for the record. And then we always limit public comment to 2 minutes. So please keep your comment to under 2 minutes.
My name is Skylar Parkhurst. I'm actually on item number 9. We're conditional. It has our opening date as August 1, 2023 for Cafe Sabor. I was here, I was hoping that if possible, if you had any questions for me on the violation history, I could answer those at this moment and just kind of tell you where we're at and stuff like that.
It's a little bit out of protocol, but because you're here and you've made the time to be here, I do appreciate that you offering that option to the commission. And so I would ask the commission if there's any questions on, so we're ready to go on that issue. If we can just get feedback from this gentleman now. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, maybe now would be a good time for you to quickly tell us about what you've done since and I'm sorry, what was your violation and then how you implemented changes?
So we had 2 violations at our Layton location. The first violation was, I guess, in it was adjudicated in last year, like just June last year, the meeting last year. What was that? Oh, I apologize, August. So a young lady that checked the ID and didn't look at the date and didn't go further. And then in February was when our second one was adjudicated there in Layton. And on that one, it was a young man that didn't check the ID. We'd worked with everyone after the first violation, and we thought we had nipped it in the bud, and we kind of like looked a little bit and tried to identify where failures were happening. So where we kind of thought that we were lax, and I don't know if I hope this helps any other restaurants that have ran into the same thing, but is basically, when COVID-19 happened, there's 2 basic things that happened. One, people stopped checking because we didn't have a lot of people coming into the restaurant to order alcohol because we couldn't serve it. So I think that there was a lot of laxness that happened on restaurants' parts in that moment. Like, okay, that's number one. Like, we need to identify this, like pound this in. When training happens, like you sit down, you tell them like, this is an important thing. Let's go forward with that. And then 2, just with the kind of a crisis in hiring that all restaurants sort of went through, you hired people that maybe you wouldn't have hired in the past. And how do you better train those people, and how do you also help them understand the importance of it? So those were the 2 critical areas that we looked at. So we sat down, we made a plan, and we basically said, okay, I'm sure that growing up, you guys kind of had the same concept, but I remember my friends being like, so are your parents the ones that you ask permission, or do you ask for forgiveness?
Yeah.
So everybody kind of has that way about them. So how do we implicate that into our training policy? So not only did we decide, okay, we need to have a punishment affixed for those that kind of think more in that line. Like, so if this fails, if this happens, like immediate termination, no questions asked. So we did terminate the employee that felt the sting that was adjudicated in February, made sure that we took care of that. So I remember a commission meeting where someone asked, well, that's good that you have that policy, but has anyone been terminated? And well, not yet, but so we definitely terminated him. And then 2, we've set up a reward system. So if someone does pass a sting and that's turned into us, we do give them a bonus, a little bonus check that, for taking 30 seconds to check an ID, and you make an extra $50 on that table. I mean, you got a $50 tip for not having to do any work. So that was the reward system that we put in. So, I mean, it's like we feel that kind of takes care of those 2 different ways that people think. So since then, we have passed 2 different Cubs things at locations, both in Logan and in Layton. So,
Sure, thank you. Yeah, thank you, sir. We're just watching time, but
okay,
we understand honestly, your
Yeah.
case is a little bit different. Thank you very much for putting that on the record. We understand that you are looking to have a projected opening of August 1st. I think that you've provided, we may ask further questions, but you've
Yeah.
provided good overview on that violation history. So thank you. And then we would just advise you to work really closely with the department on making sure like the criteria that we're asking, given license scarcity, are ready for the next commission meeting. We'll look forward to seeing you then.
and then I do think that we're looking closer to mid-July.
Okay.
But I
Our-
know that someone looked and
Okay.
we were far away, but we've had counters put in. We've
Great.
had our break system installed. We're waiting on chairs and then we should have our occupancy license kind of done this weekend. The fire suppression system is
Great.
what we're waiting on. So,
All right, we'll just work, that's great to hear, and just work really closely with staff, and we'll look forward to.
okay, perfect.
Thank
Thanks so
you very
much.
much. Thank you. Hey, be looking for a final motion. All right. Oh, how about Commissioner Jacobson moved adjournment, was seconded by Commissioner Orton, all in favor? Right, we're adjourned. We do have lunch notice.